Hello, and welcome to the next in our study on women in the Bible. This week we're looking at 3 women in the life of Samson, one of the judges of Israel. The first woman that we're looking at is Samson's mother. A humble and childless woman was accosted in the field by an angel of the Lord, who prophesied that she would bear a son who would deliver Israel from the heavy-handed Philistines. This unnamed woman was married to Manoah of the tribe of Dan. They lived in Zorah, west of Jerusalem. Manoah and his wife were apparently devout believers, but the angel's prophecy seemed almost too good to be true. The wife told her husband all that had happened, and Manoah prayed that the man of God would return in order to teach us what we shall do for the child who will be born. Judges 13:8. They did not hesitate to believe. The angel returned for the 3rd time to repeat the rules of the Nazirite vow. No wine or fruit, no razor on the head, no touching of anything unclean. Although this woman may have been illiterate and dependent upon her husband, as a believer and as an expectant mother, she had no trouble complying with the instruction of the heavenly messenger. Manoah made an offering to God on the spot, and as the flame ascended, the angel went with it. Terrified, the two fell on their faces, according to verses 19 and 20 of Judges 13. The revelation of the supernatural was required for a depraved society such as theirs, and the dramatic display confirmed God's supernatural intervention, no doubt answering their prayers, when Manoah expressed his fear that they themselves would die because they had seen God. His wife demonstrated confidence in God. Verse 23 says, "If the Lord had desired to kill us, he would not have accepted an offering." The promised son, Samson, meaning sun-like or splendor, chose a lifestyle reflecting the fallen nature of his world. Nevertheless, God used him to restrain the Philistines. As a result, his name is found with the heroes of faith in Hebrews 11:32. The disappointment of barrenness was transformed into the joy of motherhood. Though grateful for a son of such unusual strength, this humble mother must also have grieved over Samson's selfishness and disobedience to God. Certainly his mother's prayers and nurturing played a part in the contribution Samson made as a deliverer of his people. This unnamed woman will be remembered as a believing woman who left her testimony. Every woman must not only listen for God's direction, but also obey him, even in the minutest details. Judges 13:14. God's holy angels are poised to bring about his will, even when least expected. The second woman in Samson's life is taken from Judges 14, and this is Samson's pagan bride. This impressive woman from Timnah captured Samson's affection with her beauty and charm, and she too must have been infatuated with his strength and wit. They married hurriedly, and despite parental opposition. Marriage was doomed from the beginning because of competing loyalties which pulled at the young couple, as well as selfishness and immaturity on the part of both. The Timnite, who had remained in her parents' home after her wedding, was most concerned with her own self-preservation. Just as Samson, she was accustomed to getting her own way, if by no other means than through her tears and whining We see in Judges 14:2 and 3 and 16 and 17. She used all her manipulative skills, including a week of tears, to meet the demands of her countrymen, knowing all the while they planned evil against her husband. When Samson finally trusted her with his secret, she blatantly and seemingly without remorse betrayed him. She was under threat for the lives of herself and her family, but in the end, perhaps because of her own wrong choices, all their lives were lost. Judges 15:6. Who knows what protection Samson might have offered the family, if only his wife had communicated her fears to him. The Timnite and Samson erred when they rushed into the serious commitment of marriage based upon initial infatuation and physical attraction. Judges 14:2 and 3. Neither had left father and mother in order to give primary loyalty to the other. Genesis 2:24. Neither reached beyond self to be concerned about the best interest of the other. Ephesians 5:33. Neither had considered the ramifications of being linked to another who did not have the same spiritual commitments. Amos 3:3. Marriage to a foreign woman who was not committed to the God of Israel was strictly forbidden, because intermarriage was a definite factor in the destruction of the nation. Deuteronomy 7:1-4, Judges 3:5-6. Not only was Samson an Israelite and thus committed to Jehovah, but he was also a Nazarite and thus set apart by God in a special way. Judges 13:4 and 5. For a judge to fail in this area shows the far-reaching result of spiritual apathy. Marriage put Samson on the road to estrangement from God. Yet only the Lord could have given wisdom and channeled the love needed to overcome the overwhelming obstacles that faced Samson and the Timnite in their challenging marriage. The third and final woman is Delilah, we read about in Judges 16. Samson and Delilah are among the most well-known couples in the Bible. Samson, known for his strength, Delilah, known for her seductive manipulation. Delilah lived in a small village near Samson's hometown. She was possibly a Philistine, although her name is Semitic. She may have been a temple prostitute. Apparently Samson had been visiting her frequently, and their relationship became known to the Philistine leaders. They went to Delilah with an offer she could not refuse. Samson's background, his upbringing, and his own experience should have taught him to stay away from foreign entanglements. But the record is clear that Samson felt an emotional attachment to Delilah. No evidence exists that she felt personal admiration or affection for him. To the contrary, clearly she was motivated by greed. She was perfectly willing to use all her charming seductiveness, which apparently was considerable, to earn a large cash bonus. The ingredients for disaster were in place. A morally weak man with uncontrollable sexual passions, a seductive temptress motivated by greed, a group of foreign leaders with unlimited funds, and a strong conviction that their national security, perhaps even their national survival, was at stake. Her methods were simple, and though it took time, they eventually worked. She was playful and teasing. She was coquettish and provocative. She was alluring and enticing. She coaxed and cajoled. She pouted and demanded. There was a fortune waiting for her if she could discover the secret of his strength. She was determined, and she ultimately succeeded in prying Samson's secret from him. Convinced that he had finally told the truth, she sent for the Philistine leaders. She lulled her lover to sleep and had his hair cut off. With utter heartlessness, she watched as he struggled out of the deep sleep, thinking he would fend off his attackers as easily as before, only to discover to his horror that his strength was gone. No doubt she was counting her money as they let him out. Delilah personifies the immoral woman in Proverbs 5. In the end, verses 4 to 6 of Proverbs 5 says, "She is bitter as wormwood." Thanks very much.